Here's a big happy belated Father's Day to all the dads in the audience. Same I think will go for the men. You'll hear it today on the Overdrive Radio podcast for June 17th, 2024, where we'll hand the reins of a fashion over to our own regular Overdrive Extra blog contributor and owner-operator coach Gary Buchs, who retired from the road several years back now after a long career leased to Landstar. I'm Todd Dills, and at the Mid-America Trucking Show back in March, Gary happened upon the picture of four men, with clearly some family resemblance between them, resting and sitting and laughing amongst themselves out in the big south wing hallways between meeting rooms. One among them happened to be wearing a Landstar hat, and Gary took a brief moment to just introduce himself and learned that three of the four were owner-operators there today. All four of the men, Ivar, Luis, Diego, and Carlos, were brothers, united by the Marroquin surname and so much more. The four began their lives in Guatemala, losing their father there at an early age. Luis immigrated to the U.S. in the late 1980s, and Ivar and Diego both followed thereafter. Those three all had trucking experience prior to entry into the U.S. themselves, as you'll hear. The fourth, though, didn't. Yet when Carlos' bakery business in Guatemala ran its course by the year 2007, he went through the immigration process himself to come to the U.S. and eventually found his way to a CDL too. Carlos Marroquin is currently mulling the possibility of business ownership, leaning on what his brothers have learned throughout their 3 decades each in U.S. trucking, the most recent years as owners. Gary Buchs would learn all this when he sat down with the men around a table in the press room at Matt's. Not the greatest spot to record a big conversation. It was a little crowded in there at the time of the recording, yet the results are worth taking the time to hear, I think. The brothers Marroquin have persevered through a lot in their decades-long odyssey as American truckers, and they're sharpening their owner-operator business saws as time goes along. AB5, California emissions rules, and other pressures notwithstanding.
California used to be called like the Golden State. It is Golden State, but it used to be called Golden State for trucking as well. But right now, it appears that has moved to silver state instead of a golden, right?
After the break, we'll hear much more about all of that from all four. Again, that's Ivar, Luis, Diego, and Carlos Marroquin in conversation with Gary Buchs. So keep tuned.
This spring, increase rig power and performance with House Diesel Defender. It's warranty safe and made with no alcohol or harmful solvents to keep you running at your best. It provides maximum lubricity, and specialized IDX4 detergent cleans and prevents deposits. It safely removes harmful water and even provides a 5% increase in fuel economy or more guaranteed. Grab a bottle today at retailers and truck stops nationwide and visit houseproducts.com for more information.
That's HOWES, houseproducts.com. Here we dive right into the Marroquin brothers' experience in recent years and their history trucking, starting with Ivar Marroquin. Here we go.
All right, my name is Ivar Marroquin, and I've been in the trucking industry for 33 years. And being an owner-operator, this is my 4th year. I'm going to be 4 years with Landstar. That's when I started my adventure for being an owner-operator. So, yeah, 4 years.
My name is Luis, and I started driving about 31 years ago. I started in Landstar about 11 years ago as an operator, and I was able to get in my own truck about 4 years ago.
You drove for someone else?
I did for the first 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Diego. I have like 32 years driving trucks as well. And this is my 5th year as an owner-operator. And actually it's my first time being an owner-operator. My whole life just being like an employee. And now experiencing this with Landstar.
My name is Carlos. I have around 6 years for the driving. And the Landstar is for the process.
To get into Landstar.
Oh, you're not Landstar, or you're working on it. So
Yeah.
have you been driving company driver?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's how we all pretty much start. Yeah. So
Our last name, we're for brothers. Our last name is Marroquin.
That's Diego you're hearing there.
That's we pronounce it in Spanish, and it spells Marroquin. Yeah, well, in English you said Marroquin because you said a queen.
Yeah.
But I always say the joke that I don't want to be a queen, I want to be a king. So it's Marroquin. King.
Marroquin.
Yeah, think of it as kings,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a Marroquin.
From California.
Yes.
Yeah, a tough trucking environment out in California in general. People talk about the higher taxes, the tougher rules, the environmental issues in general. How do you deal with that mentally?
I think it's been a little bit tough over the years.
Owner-operator Ivar Marroquin there.
I've seen how's everything been changing, and then it appears that a lot of rules have been implemented in California, and that has affected a lot of us as leased operators. So California used to be called like the Golden State. It is Golden State, but it used to be called Golden State for trucking as well. But right now, it appears that has moved to silver state instead of a golden, right? Cost of living over there is so high, and then, in my personal opinion, I have seen like a very unbalanced situation with all the inflation that is going. Inflation is going up. Rents or houses are going up. Food is going up. Gas is going up, and rates are going down. So I think it needs to be something done soon, because I've seen a lot of partners losing their business because of that reason.
Diego, when you talked about some of the challenges. Are there any other particular challenges over the years with your experience with the different cycles of changes? What is the toughest challenge that you feel you're facing with possibly?
Well, I think we faced the biggest one when they implemented the AB5 law, because then we were challenging to get good loads, and then our income really decreased in a very considerable amount, so we had to deal with that, figure out how we can keep the business going without losing that much money.
I'm glad you brought up the AB5 right away and the challenges, because those of us that live outside of California have trouble understanding what the effect would be, because we're not there living it. So, Luis, when you look at the AB law, when that affected, how did that affect your contracts, for example, with Landstar? Did it change the relationship?
Pretty much it did, because we were, in order to keep going with pulling loads out of California, we had to move out of state. But our families are still in California.
You didn't physically move your whole family, though?
No. Basically, I had to move myself out of state
to
get my license in a different state, and then so I'll be able to keep working in California and go see my family, but they're not going to move. So basically, it separated my family.
Okay. Do you have a place of residency, or can people set up just a post office box? How are they doing this?
We rent an apartment.
Are the four of you renting in the same apartment together, and that's how you're operating your business out of, and that's will be the plan?
He works at the harbor in California, so he has no that problem right now. But if he comes to Landstar, then of course that's going to be a step that he has to.
So you'll charge him rent?
Yeah, we're going to start charging him.
Yeah,
for sure.
See, that's great. That'll cut your.
We'll make him pay half of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we already been paying for so many years now.
So you can cut your fixed cost by 50% on the apartment.
Yeah.
So where did you go to get this apartment? What state?
Nevada, Las Vegas, which is about 4 hours from my family.
Okay, 4 hours for you.
Yeah, basically we did the move just to be able to keep our loads that we were pulling out of California, because otherwise we were not going to be able to do them anymore. And then we tried for a while. We tried just moving loads out of Arizona, Nevada, and no, we were losing a lot of deadhead mileage.
Yeah, okay.
So we were forced to get our license somewhere else. We were able to keep working in California. It wasn't really difficult. All you had to do is take the hazmat test, in Nevada.
Okay.
And that was it. And paid the difference. And it's actually beneficial because it's 10 years versus 5. In California, it's only 5 years. Nevada is 10 years.
Great.
So that was great.
And for people that may not know, if you're a Landstar contractor, they require all the contractors to have hazardous material on their license. Do you haul hazmat, Diego?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Once in a while, yeah.
Yeah. I always, as a contractor, found that was more valuable. So as you coming in, you're going to transition hopefully from company driver to this.
Gary's talking to Carlos there, as noted previously, still working as a company truck driver to date, but with aspirations beyond.
As you have your 3 brothers there to guide and teach you, are you the oldest?
Yeah, I am honest. For me, the better because he is the first worker.
Okay.
All of one is learn me. No. Teach me.
Yeah.
Teach you.
We'll take care of him.
Yeah. Well, that's such an advantage to have that trust. You know, it's like you have your own built-in family network.
Can I say something? I'm Diego.
Yes.
Can I say something about us? See, the thing is that Luis was the first one who came to the United States when he was younger. And then we came together with my brother, with my little brother, and he is the last one who came to the United States. That's why his language is a little bit like...
He's improving his English.
Because he has maybe 8 years?
Yeah.
8 years that he came. Because he had his own business back in Guatemala as a bakery.
He's a baker.
Yeah, he had a bakery. So he came and then he went to school and got his license.
Coming as an immigrant, how hard was that process for you?
I have to say that we were blessed to came in right into a time when the government opened the door for Central America.
Yeah,
So we came
legally.
right into legally.
Yeah.
'Cause I was already a truck driver back in Guatemala, so I came and at that time was easier to get the driver license.
In what years was that?
Like 1990.
1990.
Yeah. So and then I applied, to get my driver license, and I was able to get it because I already knew how to drive a truck. And then I was able to get the job. And then another blessing that it was a Mexican owner of these trucks. He gave me and give them the opportunity to teach them and learn them and get their driver license.
That's fantastic.
That's how we started moving to Sears, doing deliveries and stuff with doubles, and that's how I started. But like I said, we've been blessed because we got those opportunities and we were willing to take it. And then he started in Landstar, and then he's the one who brought us, Luis. He's the one who has more years in Landstar. He brought us to this company, which has been a blessing as well. Even though right now, the rates are lower, we're still being blessed.
So you as a Landstar contractor, what attracted you to a company like Landstar?
Well, I worked for a food company for a long time, and then we got laid off, and I wanted to learn the business. Before I buy my own truck, I wanted to see if it was worth it. And I heard good things about Landstar, so I had the opportunity. Somebody offered me a job in Landstar.
And you drove for some.
So I started driving for somebody, and I did it for 8 years with them.
They must have treated you well if you stayed there.
Yes, he was a great guy. He's a great guy.
And then,
Since the beginning, I had he had a cousin who was my dispatcher for the first 2 months, but he wasn't really good at it.
okay.
So I learned the business, and my boss told me, okay, you think you can do it on your own? I said, yeah. So basically, I ran the truck like it was my truck from the beginning.
That's good.
And he used, every time I needed something, I just call him. He will pay for it and keep the truck running. And we were both happy.
So to get the timeline down of the Marroquin brothers' immigration to the United States, owner-operator Luis, who was speaking there, immigrated to the U.S. in 1989, and his brothers Ivar and Diego followed in 1990. Carlos came finally in 2007. And as Luis has it, when each of them formally took residence...
And none of us speak English when we first came here. We learned it. Yeah. It was an experience.
So how did you learn English?
On the streets, driving trucks.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, dealing with dispatchers, they only speak English, so we had to communicate with them, and that's how we learned it.
Did you feel like at times there was discrimination because of your language and everything.
Oh, yes.
It
How
was,
you emotionally dealt with that?
yes, it was very difficult. I ended up literally crying times because the way that I was treated. Because when you don't speak the language in a place and you're trying to communicate with, with signs and, gestures and stuff like that, people think that you're dumb,
Yeah.
People, they tend to take you and they tend to say, he's not understanding what I'm trying to say. So they take you like, they think that you're dumb, but it's not that you're not dumb. You just don't understand what to do. But so it was a big challenge. And even though you are, let's say, legal, they still take you as undocumented. So I had a supervisor that he would call me Mo. And in those times, racism, it wasn't like now so what I can say, like very punished, Those times they were like, people, were like a little bit. So he would call me Mo because they call it wetbacks when you cross the river. So Mo, it was like a Spanish word, which means like mojado, which is wet. So he'll call me Mo. So I ended up in that job calling my brother Diego one day, and I said, I quit. I just can't handle it no more. And I was crying because he was so much pressure. And I didn't understand why it was like that. But I mean, but I quit that job and everything. And that's when I decided that I'm going to go for truck driver, license, because he was already, dealing with that. So that's when I entered. I was 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I got my license. So I'm 52 now. So from there to now, it's being all this, trucking business. But yeah, definitely, it was a big challenge. And, I don't blame the people or anything, but that's what actually happened. You feel like you're being treated, like you're a dumb person. But it's not. It's just, you don't understand. It's hard. Like, right now they send you to, let's say, China or something, and then you try to communicate. It's going to be very difficult. Even though in Guatemala they teach you a little bit of English, but it's so basic that you don't really understand everything, like the complex. But yeah, it is a big challenge, and then you feel emotionally. You feel like you don't belong to the place. You don't belong to this place. But then in my heart, always I wanted to learn English since I was little, because it was, English was so influenced. We were influenced by English and everything, movies, food, and everything. And then when I was growing, the movie Grease was so, trending, and I used to watch that, and I would dream to being in high school and, doing what those people were doing and everything. So in my heart, I remember that I really wanted to go to school. So when I got here, I started to leave, adult school, because I was already 19, so they couldn't get me on the high school. But I started adult school, and I was there for 6 months, but I didn't feel like I was learning English so well. So I decided to apply for college. And then they accepted me on college in Fullerton College in California. So I went there for 2 semesters, and I was doing, since anybody that, doesn't have a fluent English, they'll do the ESL, which is English as a second language. And that's how I started learning English.
When Carlos came to the U.S. in 2007, his first work was at a Sam's Club location, stocking shelves, he said. And he well recalls his own reticence to get out on the floor when shoppers were around.
But sometimes, or all the time, I watch it, it's nobody on the floor. And then when it's nobody on the floor, I'm running for it, stocking all the shelf. And then it go back, because sometimes it's that people talk me, but I don't understand English. You say, I don't understand. Yes, it's sometimes say, what happened? Do you understand?
Did you do something similar, Luis?
Yeah, when my first job here was at a gas station, and I knew how to change tires, brakes, oil, back from Guatemala. So the owner of the gas station told me, if you learn English, I'll make you the manager. But because you know how to do the work, but you need to learn English. So he told me go to the night school to learn English. So I went to the classes, but we knew the numbers, the ABCs, back from Guatemala. That's what they teach us over there. So when I took the classes, when they gave me the reading tests, I knew what to answer. So they would put me in advanced classes, and I could not understand what they were saying because
they would try to advance you.
Because I could understand better, but I could not communicate back. So I did it for a few months, and then on the streets, that's where I learned, and watching TV, because the teachers, that was one of the advices they give us, watches a lot of TV in English so you can learn it back.
So, Diego, when you go to a customer, still, like, let's move forward to now, to the last few years. When you go to customers now, do you feel like the language barrier has become less of a challenge, that people are, does it just vary a lot on where you are in the part of the country or the company? Is it gotten better?
Well, I think there are some states, for some reason, the treat of the people is different. You know, I feel in California, I'm okay. Wherever I go, I don't feel like. I think my English is not perfect though, but I think it's a level where people doesn't feel like. I think sometimes people feel offended because we're trying to explain something, you know, and the people who speaks English, but they don't understand, and it's like they feel like they don't want to waste time. You know what I mean? We're trying to explain, but now it's different. It's different. I can talk over the phone, and there's some words, you know, that sometimes I don't like. Can you tell me again? You know, chances. But for the most part, I think I'm doing okay now. It's just some states that they're. Some reason they don't like the accent, maybe.
Yeah. Back to the business side of things a little bit. When you got ready to start negotiating to buy a truck and so on, did you find any particular challenges buying equipment? Or?
Well, mine was really easy because the guy I drove for, we made a deal that when he bought a brand new truck, he told me once I pay it off, I'll sell it to you. So I worked all the time to pay it off, and then we came to an agreement, and he gave it to me without down payment. Just keep making him payments for 2 years, and I kept the truck.
Okay.
So that's how it was easy.
What was that truck? What kind?
A Volvo 780, 2016.
2016.
We got it brand new in 2015. I drove it for 5 years, and then another 2 more years paying back to him, and then I kept it.
Do you still have that truck, or do you?
No, I traded in for a newer one.
You bought a new.
A newer, 2019.
And
Volvo.
so you did that in 2019?
No, the Volvo I just got it about 4 months ago.
About 4 months?
The 2019. It's a used one, but
it's a used one. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
But I upgraded my old one because I had over 1 million miles already, so it was breaking down a lot.
Okay. When did you buy the second truck?
The second truck I bought it with Lone Mountain.
Lone Mountain.
Yeah,
Okay.
I traded in my back in November
of this last year.
Okay. 23, and. Okay. I traded my 16 Volvo, and I got that 2019. Pretty easy, no? The down payment was $10,000,
okay, and
the payment was going to be $2,100. But since I traded my old one, the payment went down a little bit. It's 50 payments for $19.94.
Okay, 50 payments for $19.94.
And then once it's paid off, they give you the title.
Okay.
Lone Mountain is a big help for us.
Do you have any protection plan with that, like through Landstar, the NTP warranty or any of that? Do you have that?
Yeah, I had it with my 2016, but since I got the new one and it's still under warranty, they stopped it. They told me once I run out of my factory warranty,
right,
then I can renew the NTP. Recently, I just took it in because I had a check engine light, and I tried to get it the diagnose to see if the warranty will go, but they couldn't find the problem. They charged me for the diagnosis, and so it didn't help me.
That's a very big challenge.
Yeah, that's the problem with the dealership, because in order for the warranty to cover it, you got to take it to the dealership.
Yes.
And that's what's painful.
Approved dealer.
Being in trucking industry, I never wanted to be an owner-operator. I always wanted to be. I was so blessed of being working in good companies that they treat me really good with great benefits and everything.
Yeah.
But for the pandemic, when the pandemic in 2020, the COVID hit us, my job got really slow, and they basically closed the doors. So when they closed the doors, I had a little bit of money saved up, And I talked to my brothers, and I said, man, I don't know what to do. I mean, right now it's kind of hard to get a job. And then my brother Diego, he kind of like motivated me to, why don't you buy a truck? And I said, no, I never wanted, because I heard so many bad experiences in trucking as an owner operator, and I have friends working as an owner operator, and they would talk to me the way they were saying the money that they were making. It only varies like 10 to 15,000 for what I was making in a blessed company that I was working. So I said, why am I going to struggle with oil changes and all that? In my mind, it was all that. But then he had already, Luis had been working with Landstar and everything, and he introduced Landstar to my brother Diego, and he bought his own truck. And who was he?
MSC.
Oh yeah, okay. And then when he told me you should buy a truck, I looked in an auction to buy a cash with the little sector money that I had, and I bought a Ritchie Brothers auction, and then I bought a truck. It was a ProStar 2015 with a Pro Max, I guess what Force Max. Max Force, I'm sorry, Max Force and 13. They had so many problems supposedly and everything, so nobody wanted it. Anyways, out the door, it was a blast. It was 12,600 out the door. And then I was ready, working for Landstar. And for me, it was a blast. I never thought it was going to be that good. So it changed my mind. And I stayed with 1 year with that truck. And since everything was going so well and everything, I ended up getting my second truck. I gave that one as a down payment, plus a little bit of more cash and loan money. And I got a 2022 brand spanking new W900 Kenworth. And then
from a ProStar to a W900.
Yeah, from a ProStar I changed to it, and oh my god, and I don't regret it.
You can catch a picture of Ivar Marroquin with some of that red Kenworth W9 in the background of the shot in the post that houses this podcast for June 17th, 2024 at overdriveonline.com/overdrive-radio.
It's been a little bit struggling for the payments because of the rates right now. But I'm on my third year already on the lease, and then it's 5 years, so I only have to hang on like for 2 more years, and then I'll own the truck. $2,850. They were asking for $23,000 as a down payment, and it was for 5 years, 60 payments, $2,850 a month. So I was so surprised that they accepted me. Like I was like, my credit was okay and everything, but I never thought that was going to be. So I felt like, again, blessed of getting a truck like that. It was beautiful. I mean, still beautiful, but I mean, it was like when I drove it for the first time, and I was like a feeling I never felt before. I'm planning on keeping that truck if I can, like another 5 years after and then see how it goes. And then my plans, and if God willing, probably get another truck like after those 5 years. So keeping this one for 10, and those 5 years try to see if I can. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna feel more comfortable financial wise, talking. But and then probably I don't know where we're gonna be in the industry. I don't know if everything kind of like go back to normal. Probably I'll still
So Luis, do you have a truck payment now?
I do. $19.94 a month. Today was my fourth payment since I got this fourth.
Okay.
So I got 56 left. No, I mean 46 left. I'm sorry. It's 50 payments. Okay. This is a used one.
Luis, partial to the Volvo brand in contrast to his Kenworth-loving brothers, recently traded his prior Volvo for the one he's currently in after crossing the 1 million mile threshold. The only real headaches he'd seen were emissions-related repairs that grew to such an extent he felt getting into a newer used model made sense.
My own Volvo breakdown, it wasn't too often, and basically was only after treatment. That was costly. And we realized that basically when the breakdown, the cost comes to almost the same. The difference with Volvo is that you can only go to the dealership because nobody else wants to work on Volvos. But to me, it was a good truck. My engine, 1 million miles, and was still strong. I traded in only because the after treatment was giving me problems, and I didn't want to risk it anymore.
So you traded it in north of 1 million miles.
Yeah.
That's
1,035,000. And I got it with 20 when I first got it, 20 miles.
Meanwhile, Ivar's put about 300,000 miles on that brand new W9 and is looking forward to, if all goes according to plan, 7 more years of ownership. Luis is winning the fuel mileage battle against his 2 owner-operator brothers, Ivar and Diego, in part, he says, due to the automated manual transmission spec'd in combo with the engine for efficiency. What kind of mileage is he getting?
7.5 to 8 miles per gallon.
You see, these 2 guys, Ivar and Luis, they run oftentimes together from California to Laredo back. So they go in and they compare how much gallons everyone gets in putting.
Well, that's great because same route, and then you can compare your gallons.
Yes, definitely. So, I do between 5 to 6, depending on.
Make a lot of truck payment with that.
Yes, depending on how heavy the load is, and obviously when and But I've seen I average it always. I say like 5.5 because but I know that it sometimes goes down to 5.2, sometimes goes up to 5.8.
Diego, pulling at a Kenworth T680, also with an automated transmission spec'd for optimal efficiency, is doing a good deal better than Ivar in the W9 at 6.5 to 7 miles per gallon for most miles, he said. The differences among the 3 brothers' equipment specs all provide a series of alternatives for the eldest 4th brother, Carlos, mulling his own jump into truck ownership currently, as noted previously. Different approaches to booking loads in the Landstar system, too, point possibilities for the way ahead. Here's Luis talking about his approach to building agent relationships over time, primarily through the Landstar load board and without a big pre-planning focus in much of his time leased to the company, as you'll hear.
I have found agents that have good loads, but sometimes they want you to wait for 2 or 3 days before the load is ready. So to me, that's a waste of time and money. So I always work with the load board every time since the beginning. And I found good loads with good agents, and that's how I kept communicating with those agents later on. Because I know that every time I'm going to be in the area where I know they have loads, I know that they always have good loads. So I was looking for them, and I call them and let them know that I'm going to be in the area. And if they have something going any direction that pays good, I'm there. Okay. But to me, the load board is what kept me going all these years. Okay. And I never like to book too much in advance because
you don't?
No, I always wait for the last minute, and it has worked for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now it's bad,
and
everything is really paying really cheap, but it was always worked for me waiting for the last minute because I always got good paying loads.
Diego, do you use a different strategy for picking or getting loads?
I relate on his experience more than myself because I look on the board and I can see loads, and then he's like, "Oh, there's this load," and I'm like, "What is it? I can see it." No, I don't know how this guy. He probably has like a magic wand or something, But sometimes, but I do know some agents that they call me like in advance, say, "Hey, I'm gonna have this load next week. Are you gonna be in the area?"
Yeah.
Or sometimes if I go into some direction, I know some agencies, that I moved loads before, and I just maybe send an email or text, "Hey, I'm gonna be, for instance, in Utah next week. You have something going on?" And sometimes they do. But this guy, Luis, I said, "Hey, I got a good load myself," and I sent it to him. Check it out. And he goes, "That's not good load because it's gonna be this thing. It's gonna be this thing, and it's stuck with this stuff." And I'm like
extra days.
Yeah. So he knows. I said, "I'm going to let's instance. I'm going to Spokane, Washington, Spokane.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, Washington." He goes, "Okay, good luck. You got the bad diet." Why you got that load? I already.
Yeah, because sometimes he gets load without checking with me. And I tell him, "Why do you do that?" Because when I went to orientation, they even say it right there. Sometimes the good-looking loads are not that good because it requires too many days.
Yes.
It requires loading, or you might end up with no trailer at the end. So you gotta make sure all the details before you book that load, because once you book it, you commit it.
So we get by with a little help from our friends, as it were, brothers, of course, in the case of the Marroquins. Here's a big thanks to longtime Overdrive contributor Gary Buchs for bringing these 4 men's stories to us. And here's hope for continued success. As always, a big thanks to you for listening, too, wherever you find the podcast. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcast and YouTube, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, most any listening platform. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and you can find me and all of our episodes via overdriveonline.com/overdrive-radio. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker-songwriter Long Haul Paul Marroquin. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marroquin, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Wanick. Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Domingo Jim Whitehead, and on drums, Mr. Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator Jasmine Campbell, news editor Matt Cole, executive editor Alex Lockett, and video editors Lawson Rubsel and Mr. Andrew Quinn.